excited today because today we're getting to talk to Jeremy, and Jeremy has hit millions in multiple ways, from dollars to number of students to people that he's spoken in front of. I'm just so excited to have you here today.
Glad to be here. Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah.
And I have your sweatshirt, so in so many of my pictures, I'm always doing the next level living.
Shout out to you. When we first had the photo shoot at the E-Complex, you looked up and you had a handful. You was like, I want to support. I'm buying a bunch. I was like, oh, she's special. Yeah, so thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
So tell the people who you are.
Man, I'm a knucklehead that figured it out at the end of the day, right? I have struggles. So before we go into some of the success and some of the different areas of millions we've reached, I want people to know this here. My biological father has never been present in my life. I dealt with years of drug and alcohol abuse, repeated failure in school, diagnosis of ADHD. I went to 3 different schools, Teri, for the 9th grade.
Really?
Like, I know how to fail.
Wow.
And then I finally figured it out. I had amazing people like you with an amazing heart, former educator, right? Who believed in me, who spoke life to me, who encouraged me, who uplifted me, and helped me believe in what I can do. And that was my biggest struggle. I just didn't believe. It was always greatness inside me. I didn't realize that. But I realized, like, man, I really am fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, I can do great things with my life. And when I began to believe, it's like something clicked inside my brain. And long story short, I caught up with my right grade, figured things out, and now I get to travel the world and speak and written 8 books and get to make major impact across the world and show people how to do the same thing. So long story short, I'm a husband, I'm a father, a man of God that just looking to add value to the world.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my.
That's a short answer.
Right.
right.
Take me back to, and I know we're gonna go fast today, but take me back to 9th grade. You're in 3 different schools.
Yeah. So
How did you get back on track to finish high school?
Yeah, it was hard. So I tell people all the time, people say, you know, what's not possible? I'm like, look, the most successful people in the world aren't the most gifted. They're not the smartest. They're not the most talented. They're those who are the most disciplined. And I was lacking discipline. So the 9th grade thing is kind of tricky, right? So I had a lot of challenges and issues, was always getting into fights and starting rumbles and things like that and doing pranks. And the school ended up getting bent out of shape because I cut the electricity off. The whole school went black. Jeremy, through the hallways, you could hear it. And I was like, yeah. Then I thought about it and I'm like, no. Long story short, they ended up kicking me out. The next year came around, I went to a school called Johnson High. And on like the first day I had a teacher like, I ain't here to put up with your mess. I heard all about you. I'm not here for it. You ain't got to be if you don't want to be here. I checked out.
Oh, no.
Never went to class, never really went to school. Skip parties where kids was smoking and drinking. We was just kicking it. Got that final report card, all F's and 1 C. Take a guess what I got a C in.
Communication.
Nope. PE. Yeah, right. Gym. That's the only class I would go to. And my report card was all F's and 1 C. Long story short, I got some whiteout, changed my grades. Yep. And made a copy of it, tricked my mom. Amazing summer. But that school sent my real report card home. And I broke my mom's heart. And she was like, why would you play me? Why would you embarrass me? Right. I was like, my bad. They moved me to a new school. Now I'm at a school called Huntsville High. Came across a group of teachers. I felt like they was weird because they were so optimistic. But they loved, like their energy lifted me up. And long story short, I finally got to a point when I believed. They showed up every single day and was like, regardless of what you got going on, I'm going to show up every single day and do my job. And that mindset right there changed my marriage. So all the people out here that speak in life, like, they really don't even know that what they share to other people, how that's going to impact others years later. So I take that same approach educators took. I take that same approach when it comes to my wife. I'm like, you do the best you can, but whatever you do or don't do or what you're struggling with, it's not going to stop what I do every single day and the love you deserve. So that was like the mindset that those teachers had. They showed up and went crazy and encouraged me, and I believed. Took summer school, took night school, caught up with my right grade, graduated from high school a long time, went on and got a bachelor's, master's degree, and the rest is history.
You talked about the power of showing up. When has that impacted you another time in your life, the power of showing up?
I really feel like every day I have to show up because I'm doing so many different things. Either I'm showing up for people with our nonprofit in South Africa, or I'm showing up for a school or university I'm speaking at, or a company, or I'm showing up for my family. Like, I just gotta show up. So when I was trying to catch up with my right grade, I was like, if I just show up to school, that's one thing. But the first level is showing up. The next level is now I'm gonna give my all. Because there was a time I was showing up to school, I just want to give them my all. There's people watching our interview right now. It's like, you probably showing up to work, but you ain't giving it your all.
Right.
You showing up in your marriage, your relationship, but you ain't giving it your all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you showing up to your kid's baseball game or karate practice, but you on your phone. You're not really giving it your all. So it's like when you show up and you're present and then you really give your all, that's when you dominate. So every aspect of my life, I have to ask myself, A, am I showing up and am I giving this my all? Like at the beginning of this interview, remember what I told you? I want to add as much value to your viewers as possible, right? That's what I feel like it's been put inside me. So I really try to show up and show out.
And give it
it my all. Yeah.
Now you talked about being a man of God. When has God shown up and shown out for you?
All right, probably the biggest time, there was this guy in Alabama when I grew up. He had already killed a few other people, and he put an Uzi to my head.
Really?
Yeah, this is back in the day when I was young and dumb and doing goofy stuff. It wasn't a living life of purpose, and could have blew my brains out right there on the spot. And at that moment right there, like, I realized, like, man, God really got his hands on me. Then I had so many other experiences. But I think one of the biggest ways that God has shown up in my life is to see where I am today. I should be dead or in prison or living an average life, should have been failed and flunked out of school, but I've just experienced so much grace, which is why I have so much passion for others.
Yes.
So when people are like, man, one of my homeboys is like, Jay, when you speak, you be so passionate, like you expect everybody to win. I'm like, they can win.
Right.
You feel me? Right. Like, you really can live your best life. Like, you really can bounce back. You don't have to settle. Like, our mantra with Next Level Living is always grateful, but never settle. Yeah. Always grateful for what we have, but I won't settle. Not if I can have more and experience more and accomplish more and give more and help more people, right? And so that's just my mindset. So God, throughout my whole journey, my life is a testament just to God's faithfulness and what's possible if you show up and you give it your all.
Now you talked about, and I know I'm spitfiring.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
You talked about having experience with addiction.
Yeah.
So how did that start and then how did it end?
So, it started like with cigarettes and Black and Milds, and then it went to pills and it went to weed, you know what I'm saying? And so at one point I was smoking a pack of Newports a day, smoking 2-3 blunts a day, you know what I'm saying? That's individually, not even socially. Wow. I would wake up to a bottle of Hennessy. You know what I'm saying? Raging alcoholic. Like, to this day, I don't touch wine or anything. If I go out with some friends, they're having mixed drinks, cool. I'll take a sparkling water with lime just because of my past.
Yeah.
Who the sun sets free is free indeed. I want to remain free. So for me, I'm just like, yep, I know my past. And I don't know, maybe my biological father, you know what I'm saying, and that family struggled with it. Yeah. But obviously, I wasn't able to. So all of that. But I stopped cold turkey.
Really?
No Nicorette. Again, discipline, right? I've learned that the most successful people in the world are not the smartest. They're not the most talented. They're not even the most gifted. They're those who are the most disciplined. And so for me, when I stopped and hit the reset button, I was just like, I don't do this no more. Did I lose some friends? Yeah. Did some people talk about me? Man, Jeremy think he better than me. I don't think I'm better than you. I just expect better for myself. So if you want to do what you do, cool. I don't feel like I'm better than you, but I feel like I can do better for myself. So I had to remove myself from those situations. I couldn't go to some of the places I was going to before. I couldn't indulge in some of those different things. But it's like, though I might have gave up cigarettes, I gained India. Though I gave up weed, I gained Australia. You know what I'm saying? Though I gave up pills, I gained South Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to ride around with pounds of weed. Now I ride around with books to read. Yeah. You feel me? Like, it's a transition of my purpose. And so, yeah, I kicked those habits. I'm proud of that. Cold turkey. I got baptized. I came out that water. I have not been the same since. And I took it one day at a time. That's what I tell people. Can I share that one piece? Please. People all the time say, are you sure? Come on, bro. I'm like, no, one day at a time. It was overwhelming of, man, I'm never going to do this again. Like, this is the life I've lived for years. I'm never going to. I just say, you know what? Today I choose to be sober. Today I choose to be cautious of what I put in my temple. Today I choose to have a clear mind. I'm just focused on today. Yeah. Tomorrow is a whole nother battle. Let me just win today. And then you get to a point now where those things don't even faze me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
There's a scripture that says to love God is to obey God's commands. When you talk about that discipline, like, I feel like you being able to have discipline over your body,
yeah.
Like, I bet even more so in your spiritual walk, you have to, like, learn how to be disciplined in that too.
All right, so I think probably I'm going to share with you my biggest spiritual discipline. I went on a 9-month fast from my wife.
Really?
Yeah.
How did she feel about that, though?
Well, you know what I'm saying? She was in, right. So she was in a very emotional, you know what I'm saying, space, you know, with her mental health and in her body. We had lost 2 children, you know what I'm saying, fibromyalgia, endometriosis, adenomyosis. She was giving me the best she had. And I was like, babe, you just focus on your health. You just focus on loving you and taking care of you. I'm gonna find new and innovative and creative ways to chase your heart. Let me make love to your heart. Let me make love to your spirit. Let me make love to your soul. Then when you're ready, when you're in a better place. I didn't plan on it being 9 months, so let me be clear. It was just something God was just like, your wife is hurting on the inside and she's trying to heal, but then take care of your needs.
Yes.
I need you to put on your big boy pants, be a man of God, and just focus on serving her. And I'm going to feel your heart and give you what you need. And so I went on that journey, which was probably one of the biggest accomplishments. Forget all the degrees and the books and all the wealth being able to build. The fact that I was able to do that for 9 months and still chase her heart, still pursue her, still hold her hand, still take her on dates, expect nothing in return. And I didn't go to pornography. I didn't, none of that other stuff. Like, it's probably one of the biggest achievements because it was a mental battle every day. Because I'm very sensual, you know what I'm saying? And like a sexual being like most males. But for me, I was just like, yo, my wife is hurting. And I really believe that when God saw me be disciplined in that space, he was like, oh, if I can trust you with this, I can bless you with more. Yeah. Like, I really believe that God will bless us with what he can trust us with.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, we on the other side now. Right. But at that time,
accomplishment.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is I realized it was 9 months because I journal. And I looked and was like, it's 9 months. I thought of a pregnancy. And God was like, son, you gave birth to a new marriage.
Wow.
It's like you gave birth to something new. So when I look at my wife now, and you know, Tracy, like at all of our companies, all the business we do, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's right there. It would be no Next Level Living, no Speakers Academy, no nothing if it wasn't for her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine like what would have happened if you all had separated or fallen apart like that? Like your whole business.
I'd probably be average right now. I wouldn't be no next level.
Yeah, be on a millionaire.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely not. Like, I had the vision and the drive, and she had the know-how, that business mind that helped bring that thing into fruition. And we are so opposites. And for the longest time, I felt like, man, she's not like this. And God was just like, son, every championship team has a really good defense and a really good offense. Mm-hmm. I'm on offense, she's on defense. And when we submit to the spirit and what God's saying move, like, that's how we win, when we in one accord.
Yeah. So I haven't gotten married yet.
Yeah.
So what are some of the advice you would give to have a good marriage?
So I would always say that for people to become who they need to be, right? So your king, he's somewhere out here 5'5". Like, he got it going on. And when that time is right, and it might not even be on you. It might just be something he got to, like, look, whoever it is, he is somewhere right now going through whatever he needs to go through to work on, whatever he needs to work on. And then when God's like, yep, it's time, boom, the connection. The spark. You might be at a book signing. You might be coming off stage. He might be backstage at some show like the Today Show or Ellen or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And then y'all meet, but y'all can't cross paths until that thing is aligned. And so I tell people all the time that's single, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, take care of you. Become the best version of you can be, and trust that God wants you to have love. He is love. Like, trust is only a matter of time. Delayed is not denied. Delayed is not denied. So I tell folks, I tell you the same, like, you just keep being you just keep being great. Everybody else gonna have to step their game up, you know what I'm saying, to come your way and approach you. But don't you dare dim your light. You continue to be the mighty woman of God. You keep being the force that you are, because that's how he wires you. And there's gonna be someone there that can support you and you can support him, and y'all can have something beautiful. So I tell people to work on them. Everybody looking for that dream man or that dream woman, but are you that dream wife? Are you that dream husband? And so that's what I tell folks, to like work on themselves, and what's supposed to come to you is going to come.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I received that, Jeremy.
Okay.
That was my big brother pouring into
there you go. I got you.
Yep.
You good. Oh, yeah, you good. You keep doing you.
Oh, I love it.
Yep.
Now, what about, how did you get into speaking?
Oh, man. So my mentor, the big homie E.T., Dr. Eric Thomas.
Okay.
Yes. I've known him for 25 plus years. So he like family. He's my daughter's godfather. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen his journey, so I always knew that could be that. And I just really wasn't sure what space I could speak in. So I was kind of doing a little bit of corporate, a little bit of churches, a little bit of schools. Okay. And then mentor was like, bro, you all over the place. You look like a handyman. Like, make one decision, one particular field that you want to speak in. And I was like, So I cut corporate because it didn't come as easy. Then I'm looking at churches and schools, and I'm like, I love preaching the word of God, but I also love being in these schools, inspiring these kids. But then I ask myself, how can I make the biggest impact? I can go to churches every single weekend, but when I leave, their pastor is still there to be their shepherd. Okay. But I said, schools, ain't nobody really showing up like that. So I went all in with schools. I know kids was cutting and they're depressed, low self-esteem, bullying, fights, dropping out. I know they struggling. And so in my mind, I was like, I'll never build wealth. You know what I'm saying? Being a speaker in the educational space, but it's not about profit. It's about purpose. It's like, I'm not going to focus on the income. I'm going to focus on the impact. And boy, was I wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like with what you can get. And so I've spoken so much for free to bless schools and to bless organizations. But on the back end, what's come my way is absolutely amazing. So that's how it started. I started 12 years ago.
Okay.
And after 2 years of speaking part-time, I had this encounter. If we have time, I can share it with you. I'll get you in 30 seconds. Yeah. I was at this one school speaking. It was a little girl. After I got done with the assembly, all the kids ran out. I'm high-fiving the kids. I still had my full-time job, great salary, worked for a company called Wyotech. My wife worked for the government. We were very comfortable. Couple vacations a year, just built our first house, hardwood floors, granite countertops. We really felt like we arrived, like six figures, we blessed. I share my story. The kids walk out. I'm high-fiving all the kids. This one little girl comes up to me with red hair and freckles. Her whole face was almost the color of her freckles, in tears. You just saved my life. You just saved my life. Breaking down. She's hugging me. I'm like, you okay? The principal was like, whoa, let me give y'all some space, right? Because she was just like so emotional. She was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm like, for what? She's like, you just saved my life. I'm thinking like, my story ain't that good. You know what I'm saying? She said, I plan on committing suicide. Wow. She said, I came to school with a plan. I think it was like her sister or best friend had just committed suicide. So she was like, I can't live without him. That's what she was at. She might be maybe 13 years old. Came to school with a plan, slipped out the back door. They caught me leaving the school, made me come to the stupid assembly, but I'm so glad I did. I want to live, Mr. Jeremy. I want to live. I now know weapons will form, but they're not going to prosper. I said, ooh, she was listening. Wow. She looked at her. You know how kids be right on their arm and hand? Yeah. She was just like writing quotes. She was like, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I said, oh, okay. And so she literally was like, I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to make you proud. And ran off the class. And at that time, I knew like, this is God's work. So I went and told my wife the next day. I had to get her in the spirit, so I made her breakfast. You know what I'm saying? 2 egg whites, avocado toast, and some oatmeal with the little craisins. I had to get her the whole spread. And so I was like, babe, got a frog in my throat. I'm all nervous. I'm like, you know, this little girl told me I saved her life. She was going to commit suicide. I should be doing this full time. You know what I'm saying? She was like, uh-huh. Really? I was just like, yeah. And we just had a newborn baby. Like Jewel was like just born. She's like a month or two. So I was nervous. I said, yeah, God said do it. I believe on God. She's like, well, what'd he say about me? I'm like, nothing. I need you to keep working. She's like, bump that. If you quit your job, I'm quitting my job too. And we're going to build this company together. I was just like, did you pray about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't expecting that. Are you sure? And she never went back to work. She was on maternity leave. And I was thinking I need her to work because her salary will pay the mortgage, the car note, some of the other bills. Yeah. We all went in. And I tell people all the time about sacrifice. It's like one thing when you feel called and persuaded to do something, you got to just believe in the one that called you to do it, that he's going to provide. But you also got to be wise with it. But we both walked away from our jobs, 401k, retirement, healthcare benefits, like all of that savings. It's just, but now it's just like, yo, God, you're going to have to like bless our efforts.
What was that first few months after you made that decision like?
The first few months was cool. I would probably say 6 months after that savings ran out. Yeah. That's when it was just like, okay, you asked me earlier, name some times when God showed up for you. I remember one time it was just like the gigs were coming, but they weren't coming like that. And I remember my wife came to me with tears in her eyes. She's like, we got to pay these bills. What are we going to do? I was just like, man, boo, don't do that. She was really frustrated and really afraid. And I didn't want that depression, anxiety to jump on her. And I looked her in the face. I said, look, honey, I'm your husband, but I'm not your God. I said, let's pray. That was a moment. And we held hands right then and we prayed. Do you know 2 days later, a day later, maybe 2, but I feel like it was the next day, but at least 2 days later, a pastor called me. Was like, hey, Jeremy, I want you to come and speak for my event in Texas. Not only will I pay you, but I want to order 200 of your books. I had this discipleship series book that showed young people like, you know what I'm saying, how to be like real Christian. He's like, I want to order 200 copies. I did the numbers, 200 times $20. That's $4,000. That's $4,000. Like, and back then, that was like,
that's a lot.
Oh, for sure. that pay the bills. You already know. Yeah. And so at that time, I mean, that boosted our faith meter because it was like, man, we just talked about this. But I feel like God was just like, okay, Tracy has a little bit too much faith in this knucklehead Jeremy. So let me flex my muscle and let me allow for the Red Sea to be here and Pharaoh's army there. So they like, what do we do? They're not part the Red Sea. Wow. I feel like he's the drama king. He like so dramatic. He could have just blessed us, but he was like, no. Let me just show you I still got you. It's always been me. It was me when he had the Uzi to your head. It was me when you woke up on the side of the road drunk, had no business driving and being drunk. It was me when you got a job that you was looking for, that you wasn't looking for, and they said they found your resume. Like, it's always been me. And so, yeah. So long story short, we both quit our jobs and we went full in, and it was hard. But now we on the other side now.
Wow.
Yeah.
To God be the glory. Like every story in the Bible that's tough. I think about when the Israelites had to get out of Egypt. Yep. And God was like, it's got to be this way so I get the glory.
That's it.
And I feel like that's your story.
Absolutely.
It had to be that way so you get the glory.
Absolutely.
Now, tell me a little. I want to just ask a little. We have a couple seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so important in a relationship that both of you all have your own individual relationship with God? Because I feel like that was an important part.
Yeah, and you have two different journeys, and me and my wife both have to give each other grace to grow. She's not gonna grow at the same pace I'm gonna grow. I'm not gonna grow at the same pace she's growing. We have two different life experiences, two different upbringings, two different relationships with God, different ways that we express love and joy and happiness and sorrow. So it's just like, yo, you have your walk. I have my walk. I'm going to cover you. You're going to cover me. And we're going to work and build this thing out together. But it is important that, you have your thing separately and you're not just leaning on your spouse. But it's also important that you're not saying, Teri, have you prayed today, Roger? You know what I'm saying? Have you prayed, Patrick? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yo, he got his walk, you got yours. And so that's kind of how we went through our journey. But I believe there were some things, and even to this day, God is still flexing his muscle to show my wife, it's still me. I ain't went nowhere. I'm going to let this little thing happen, and I'm going to come through and work a miracle. So you sit back and look at me, wow, now. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, it's crazy.
I love that.
Story of my life, drama king. Lord have mercy. Yeah.
Let's fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me about the most exciting speaking engagement that you've ever had.
Ooh. Probably India. Okay. Yeah. I've been to just about every country, but India was a little different. They had to bring in like an interpreter, and that was probably the most exciting one. A whole team came, my wife came, the handlers took us all around Bangalore. We were up in the Yagari Hills. That was probably one of the most exciting. Australia's good. South Africa is always special. Yeah. My first time in South Africa led to my second, led to my third, led to my fifth. I've been there probably 9 different times
and
there.
You guys are doing some work there too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a nonprofit, Next Level Living in South Africa, where we got a whole mission. At any moment, you're going to see somebody in a Next Level Living shirt in Cape Town, South Africa. We're feeding about 1,000 people per month, sometimes every 2 weeks. Like, we have people out in the Cape Flats that are preparing the meals and putting together parcel packages for families. And we sponsored 40 kids to go to college. Wow. At the College of Cape Town. Yeah, these are all kids who are good and smart, but just didn't have the grades for a full scholarship, but definitely wanted to go to college. And so Gavin, our director, works at the College of Cape Town, and he came to me and was just like, bro, there are a bunch of students every year that can't get in. Can we sponsor some of them? Can you sponsor 10? I was like, 10? I said, we'll sponsor 3. And then a few days later, my wife was asking me, like, what are you going to do for your 40th birthday? I was like, I don't know. And then that next morning, God said, Gavin said 10. You said 3. You never even asked me. All this wealth I bless you with, that's my money. Oh, Teri, God was like, that's my money. He was just like, 40. So I did the 40 for 40 campaign. So for every year of my life, we sponsored a different student. And then I brought some friends in that said, hey, I want to sponsor one. I want to sponsor one here, that type of thing. So me and Tracy personally sponsored 10 students. And I had a whole bunch of other friends that say, hey, I want to sponsor kids. So now we got 40 students right now in college.
Oh my gosh. Now, you know, I love giving.
Right.
Giving played a part in your life?
Huge, huge. I'll tell one story. You know how some people, when they come to church, they'll give like maybe 10% tithe and maybe 5% offering or something. I gave 10 plus 10 because I was like, God, the fact that I'm still living, that's the least I can do. And when me and my wife quit our jobs, I heard God plain as day. And another podcast, I'll talk about really being in tune because people say, how you hear God's voice? That's another conversation. But I'll say this, the more you talk and pray, the more you're in tune, the more you listen, the more you ask to understand his voice, you'll hear that prompting. So when you hear that voice that says, buy that person's lunch, that ain't the enemy telling you to do that. You know what I'm saying? If somebody says, if you feel that's something that says, okay, your wife's having a rough day, don't snap back, like just give her grace, like play it cool. That's the voice of God. So I heard God clearly say, I want you to give 30%, tithe and offering. So I said, God, I got to give 30%. He said, you got to? That's your problem. You get to. I gave you the $10. Just give me 3 back and watch what I do. And at that time, it was funny because he was like, I don't want you to worship money. That's why I can be trusted with the wealth we've been able to build now. He was like, I don't want you to worship because now if you get a gig to speak, you know what I'm saying, for $2,000, it's like, yep, but let me get 30%. Let me make sure I keep your heart pure. It was weird, but then it was a balancing act because it's like, I don't want to speak to eat. I don't never want to speak to eat. I want to speak to feed. Physically, mentally, like emotionally, I want to feed people. I never want to take a gig because I got to pay bills. So it was like a mental thing I had to go through. So giving has always been huge. You know what I'm saying? It's always been big because I feel like you can't be God-given. And I have no doubt that's why I'm so blessed and you are, because we're so quick to be able to want to give and bless somebody else.
If I can get it out, I know God will keep.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, okay, who do I need to serve?
And that's the formula people don't understand. People feel like, see, they get the scriptures wrong. Money is the root of our, no. The love of money. The word said you can't serve God and mammon, like make a decision. But ain't nothing wrong with money. Solomon was one of the wisest men that lived the earth. And one of the wealthiest, right? They debating between Manson, Moose, and Solomon. I don't know if we can never really tell, but he was balling. We think Jeff Bezos got something. Back in the day, that was different. You know what I'm saying? And so, but they were men of God. And so I just feel like we should be blessed so that we can be a blessing to others. And so that's what I love doing and love helping more people do it and make more impact and travel the world and do the work. Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah.
I know that you have to kind of rush out today.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to tell the people?
So we reached 1 million students. In 2018, I went on a campaign and I was like, I'm gonna travel like never before. I'm gonna take every engagement that comes my way. And at the end of that year, we reached just over 1 million students. So I know you focusing on like the different millions that people hit, downloads, reach, money, stuff like that.
Being able to have 1 million students, that's a million lives.
Yeah, for sure.
That you're impacting. That's
for
huge.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So that's one thing. And that really, to do 1 million in speaking, that's great. You know what I'm saying? I do 6 figures a month easy speaking. But to be able to impact millions of lives.
Yeah.
And now, you know, my goal this year is to help thousands of people become motivational speakers.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So we have, go ahead.
Before we move to the motivational speakers, what kind of responsibility does it take, or does it add responsibility when you're having to have 1 million students? Does that question make sense? Like, do you feel extra pressure?
Yeah. I did one speaking engagement. I was at one district and I spoke 5 times in one day. And the next day, like I was super depressed. It wasn't just the energy I put out, but I take on like they pain and they struggle. And so being at one middle school, then the high school, then the middle school, and you talking about inner city where these kids are really hurting, out on the playing field, it's broken glass. I'm like, these are why babies play. I feel like, but that was the assignment and mission I was on. But when I saw that, you just take on that weight. So that year, it was rough. And I had to make sure I take care of my heart because I don't never want to speak from an empty place. I don't want to pour from an empty vessel. So I had to be very intentional about being in tune with how I was feeling internally so that I could still have that anointing when I'm on stage and really bless these people and they really flow freely.
Is there anything you've learned to do to refresh yourself as a speaker so that you can make sure to...
Yeah, so even from a speaker and just a business person, a mom and dad, just that self-care, or for some people, I'll say temple care. That's what my counselor told me, and I have a counselor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with having someone that you can talk to, a counselor, a therapist, The word says there's safety in the multitude of counsel. We should have that place where we can retreat and connect with people to get poured back into, you know. And so I have counseling sessions. I'm about to start back up with my hot yoga once a week, you know what I'm saying, massages, you know what I'm saying, like those things that take care of me. And when I feel like I need to retreat, I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna retreat to make sure that I'm in a good place, because my wife doesn't deserve the shell of me. My kids don't deserve a fraction of me. I don't want to be out here giving these students and universities and corporate, and when I'm speaking, give them my best and my family the rest. They don't deserve that. So I have to be more intentional about being in tune with how I feel and then be willing to say no. God told me in 2022, he said, do less. I want you to do less. You'll make more impact. You'll make more money than you ever had before, but do less. Just be more present and locked in with your family. So that's where we at.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Now take some time speaking to this camera. Tell people about the motivational speaker. How do they be part of the 3,000?
Yeah.
How do they find you?
So my goal really is to change the world. And I know that's possible by helping more people become motivational speakers. I could speak every single day of the week, but 365 days in the year, 365 engagements is not going to change the world like that. But if I can train other people, I've got people in our Next Level Speakers Academy who are current pastors and teachers and construction workers and entrepreneurs, like everyday people who have a story. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, like, you have a story, you have a message. Let me help you with the marketing, with the branding. How do you package your story? Find the direct audience. And so we created our Next Level Speakers Academy. So now I've helped people. Some of them do it part-time and they love making an extra $5,000, $10,000 a month. They love it. Then you got some people that's doing 2, 3, 4, and one of my students, $500,000 his first year working with me speaking.
Oh my gosh.
All that pain. That's what I tell people. All the pain, all the trauma, all the struggles you've gone through, like there's a purpose for that. And when you stand on stage and you share that and it impacts other people, it just, I can't think of anything else that is more rewarding mentally, emotionally, spiritually than speaking, then financially. Like, I would do this work for free, but to see that they're willing to pay me 15, 20, my most recent year, I told you about $50,000 for an hour on stage is humbling. I do it for free, right? But there's a science to building up their brand. I've been doing it, of course, for 12 years, 10 years now, full time. But anyway, you didn't ask for all that. Long story, because I'm excited about that stuff.
Yeah.
Long story short is we have a community now of people that I'm helping become motivational speakers. And so we've got a private Facebook group. We got the online course. Yeah. We have calls on Sunday where I can walk them through the journey.
How do they get in touch with you? I know we'll have a link, but how do they find you?
So I'm on Instagram at one Jeremy Anderson.
Okay.
At one Jeremy Anderson. And we'll have a special link that we can offer the folks if they're interested. And I would love to be their mentor and coach and help them navigate that space. And we're going to change the world together.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. For sure.
You're impacting so many lives.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm just getting started. You too. Don't play with it now. You make an impact out here in the world. Yeah, you are. Yeah, we are. Yeah. There we go.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll talk to y'all later.
Peace.